Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Expansive CEO podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman, and today I have a repeat guest, which tends to be one of my favorite things, honestly, because we get to just dive back in and we've already had this beautiful conversation. We get to go even deeper. So I have back Alan Muellegger, who is an emotional fitness trainer. He's got over a decade of experience helping high impact leaders perform at their absolute best. He teaches emotional fitness, which is the next evolutionary wave of emotional intelligence that wires leaders for peak emotional performance for the moments where it matters the most. And we are going to dive into some interesting topics and happenings and some real life application of this work in our own, literally in our own experience. So we're gonna be the role models here of this work. So Alan, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. It's good to have you. What's up, man?
Nothing much. I'm really appreciative of you bringing me back. I'm really appreciative of the conversation we had the first time, and just really excited to dive in. You're such a fantastic interviewer. You bring the right questions, the right energy to the space. So to me, I can already feel just like the dedication to service. And that to me, like when people are ready to dial in and say things that are meant to be said for people to hear, that gets me really excited. So I'm really excited to dive in.
Mm, beautiful. Well, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go straight to the heart of it
Mhm.
because what you do, right, in emotional fitness, helping people really understand what's happening when they are having an emotional reaction, how to integrate that, how to work with it. Um, when we talked last time, you said you were looking to work with peak performers in peak performance in really going into the high stakes time of life, all of that.
Yeah.
And that has shifted, or there's been a pivot lately. And I think the reason we're talking about this, and I'm so grateful actually that you're willing to go with me and talk about it. We don't talk about that stuff when we put forward an initiative, when we think we're going to go in one direction and it doesn't work out for whatever reason, or we start to have feel, there's resistance there, it's not working. Um, we just don't talk about it. We just pretend like, oh, that's just like brush it to the side, pretend it never happened. And we don't help others see that we go through this as well. Literally everybody goes through this. Everybody tries something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to dive in with you and kind of explore what all came up in that whole process for you of something not working the way that you thought it would, and then seeing where you already have something to respond to and a place that's asking to be served even more deeply. So there's the lead.
Yeah, that was so good.
Take it
Yeah.
from there.
So there was I I've been doing coaching now for over 10 years, but I was doing it in other people's businesses, and then I transitioned into now I ran my own kind of, I didn't call it emotional fitness for a while. I just called it really mindset coaching or purpose coaching, alignment coaching, and all that, trying to figure out what the heck to call myself. And I did like the purpose, alignment, mindset stuff for about a year. And then I disagreed with the way that I was being taught to market and sell my program. And so I started to trial and error this system that allowed me to um, take people through a series of service-based containers that would lead them to authentically decide without me having to manipulate or sell anything, them to decide, do I want to work with this guy, yes or no? Totally on their own accord. And I built it because that's what I wanted it to be, and that was effective. So that business was starting to get built out. First is me being a mindset, emotions, and purpose guy. And then starting to go, okay, I've got this system that I've developed that works really well for me. I wonder if I could teach it to a couple other people. So then I started teaching it to a couple other people, started working well for them, and they started to be able to build their own businesses. And all the while, building the primary tool that I like to use with people is emotional fitness, this idea to be able to wire our emotions to get us through different situations. And rather than have situations stop us, we can get through it. And as I was developing that skill set in working with this population of people wanting to start out their coaching businesses for the very first time, I started to really remember the admiration I had for these really big superstar coaches like Tony Robbins or people playing or Brendan Burchard, people playing in that field. And I was like, well, the natural place that those people go when you look at their content, you look at what they go to peak performance. They go for athletes. They go for the taking and really pushing the edges of their craft to people who are going to take it to the highest degree. And so I was like, that should naturally be where I want to go. And so I decided I'll continue maintaining the coaching coaches to help them with the brand new business side. But I was going to start to explore this emotional fitness thing with specifically with peak performers, high performers. And what I came to realize in doing that, two things. One, um, the shoes that I was trying to step into consistently were larger than my feet.
Hmm.
So the amount of energy that was being required in that space, I could step into it, but not in a grounded way. I noticed that most of the time I was being asked to step into fields of energy or levels of intensity that I could do for short periods of time, but not naturally sustain. And this started to give me an indicator that something's being forced here.
Mhm.
And to me, like when I got that, that was like a yellow flag, and that was like, okay, starting to be an issue. But then as I continue to move forward with that population and beginning to work in the high performance type field, I started to notice that a lot of my focus was also starting to hone in on the possibility of large financial payoffs. And it was unconsciously driving my behavior, unconsciously driving my decision-making process. Even though I was saying, no, this is about performance, no, it's about the craft, no, it's about the emotional fitness stuff. As I began to evaluate where my feet would go and why I would make certain decisions in reflection, I was like, oh no, I'm doing this. This is starting to become about the money. This is starting to become about like what I get out of it. And it started to like things that I'm usually very good at, like establishing containers, holding containers, creating space, creating exercises, the creating containers, the holding containers. And when I mean that, I mean like an emotional structure for people to feel safe in. I started to get relaxed and lazy with it. And as I began to evaluate, like, why am I not being in, I'm hyper intentional with my words. I'm hyper intentional with what I'm doing. Why am I slipping? And so that's where I started to like follow breadcrumb trail. And it was like, oh, I'm slipping because I'm focused on something that's not actually service. I'm
Mhm.
focused on the money. I'm focused on the what I can get out of it, and that doesn't help me focus on a pure environment of service, which is 100% focused on the person I'm serving, no matter what. And so when I started to notice that I was forcing, getting sloppy, and the focus was in the wrong place, I was like, oh man, this might not be the model. This might not be where I'm going. And then I started to compare the two zones. I started to compare the zone where I'm working with first-time business owners, which is it was more chop wood, carry water, pavement pounding, hardcore, just do business the way business is supposed to be done, and the high performance route, which was working much more on referrals and who's in my network, and then who do you know and who do you know type energy, going back and forth. And I was like, man, one of these populations absolutely is supportive, loves what I do, is grateful for what I do, and is like, more please, more please. And the other one is seems to be consistent, like, I don't know if we fully validate your skill set here. And it was not the high performers that was validating the skill set, it was the other one. And I was like, okay, well, there seems to be more ease and more flow in this side. Why then am I avoiding it? And it was like, well, because the price tag and the effort there is the price tag is a little bit lower and the effort there is a little bit higher. And once I started to realize that that was what was starting to drive my decision making in that whole process, I was like, okay, I need to evaluate my priorities. I need to evaluate my value systems, and I need to understand what the heck I'm here to do on planet Earth. What is my North Star? What am I actually meant for? And am I allowing the desire for a short-term payoff to get in the way of me getting after that thing? And the more I evaluated it, and the more I took an honest look at my own behavior, I was like, yeah, I'm avoiding the hard work because I want a faster payoff, and it's causing me to have a problem with my mission, my purpose, whatever you want to call it. So um, I made the decision to pull away from the high performance stuff. And I figured, I'll probably get there at some point. It's a natural part of this. If this business begins to grow and, I'm working with 50 clients at a time, 100 clients at a time, and there's this big brand and there's a big thing, and Alan's running big in-person events, which is also the direction this is going, then naturally there are going to be people who look at that sheer volume and go, we want to learn from you. And that's fine. That'll come down the road. But I was like, that's not where the focus is right now. The focus is going to be in building this honest business of helping people get from that zero stage to full-time income so they can be doing what they love as their primary way of making income. And I'll build it as that on the foundation and continue to serve that population as much as I possibly can. Because the truth is I think the last bit about the pivot is that I fall in love with those people. I fall in love with serving and helping those people. So yeah, that was kind of an overall 40,000 foot view of what led to the transition.
So you're touching on something that I think is so important, a part of the conversation that we really need to open up more and be just so honest about with entrepreneurship. Um, and then in the coaching space, I think there's so much room for self-reflection the
Yeah.
way that you presented it because two things I'm going to pull out specifically to dive into. One was the right at the beginning of what you were sharing was, oh, well, these other guys are doing peak performance, so I should.
Yep.
The word should came straight out of your mouth,
Yep.
right? Always a like bright red flag for me of
Yep.
like, what are we should what? Um, let's
Yep.
let's evaluate that. Let's stop and pause. But we all do it.
Yep.
We all do it until we learn, maybe not even until I think we all just do it
Yep.
and we keep doing it. And it's the ability to self-reflect that says, oh yeah, that was a should. That was a big should,
Yep.
not necessarily an aligned step.
Yes.
And so there was that piece. And then this other piece about, um, like being honest that it was about the money,
Yep.
not about the service.
Yep.
Because I mean, that tends to be the advice. That's what everybody is kind of, um, or maybe not everybody, but so many people are chasing right now
Huge.
is right. Is like, how do I make more money doing less work?
Yep.
I want to
As
make more and do less. Make
AI
more.
coming out and how that's developing, like it's like the amount I just was at an event the other day where one of the talks was how to make 2,500 a month, 2,500 bucks a month with AI in 15 minutes. And I was like, that's an absurd title. I guess like that's not gonna work out. But yeah, it's a big thing people are focused on right now.
And well, and I mean, so in my space too, in the financial planning space, I mean, I not a ton because I don't like put this energy out, but every once in a while I'll get people who are like, I just want to make passive income. I just want to, I don't I just want to find the fastest route to passive income and just make it super easy and just make a ton of money and I don't have to do any of this BS.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I really like don't vibe with that
Mhm.
because the honest truth is it takes time. Like the chop wood, carry water, right? It takes time, it takes consistent effort. Um, it takes years
Yes.
and it takes intentional reflection every time something's not working to go back and look at that and to say, hey, why isn't this working?
Yeah.
What's coming up? So yeah, those were the two places that I wanted to like, I'm not going to use that word. Like the corporate speak, right? I've heard people say like, I want to double click on that. I'm like, well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah,
not.
yeah. Revisit,
Let's
open
go
up.
back. Yeah, let's dive in. Let's go a little deeper. Um, yeah, or just if you have anything else to share on that, the I should
Yeah.
with make more money in less time.
Yeah. So I can open up both of those. The should thing came 100% from this, like, I think, uh, especially when anyone is starting a new business, we're all looking for models. Like who has done what I've done or has done something similar so that I can copy and not make the same mistakes, or who can I draw inspiration from is maybe a better way to say it. And for me, and I think that that comes on because it can be such a wild west. It can be the raw trial and error game, consistently putting your butt on the line over and over and over again. It can be terrifying and exhausting. So for me, the where the should came in was looking at people that I admired most that inspired me to want to do this in the first place and go, okay, like they've inspired me so much. I don't really have a model for what it is that I'm doing here other than the people who originally inspired me to want to do this type of work. So let me evaluate them, study them, understand them, and then copy them exactly based off of what I believe is the right course of action. So it was the should was, I think it was birthed from the constant pressure of the entrepreneurial game, which then was also pressurized because of the fear of not making it or the fear of failure, the fear of running out of money or whatever it is. And then it led me to that route of what are other people doing and how do I based off of what I identify as or what I see myself doing in their path, here's what I should be doing based off that path. So it was all well, it was, I think, to be fair to myself, not too harsh. One part of it was just from the sheer weight of the game being heavy and being challenging and finding a way, how do I manage this weight? But then second, just it was fear-based. It was like, let me look at someone else and compare because that's easier than to be slow my breath down, be calm, drop into this moment, journal, read, reflect, get into practice, and create a fully assessed next step based off of my own internal intelligence. It's just easier to compare. So it's like that I think is where the should came from.
And you just brought in the grace that I was searching for as well, right? Is that again, there is no um judgment
Yeah.
in that at all because again, that's where everyone starts.
Yeah.
We don't just like drop out of the sky or drop out of corporate or anywhere like knowing how to start a business and build a business. And so we all do it. And I did the same thing where when I was launching X squared wealth planning, I I launched that in January of 2021, January 29th of 21. And in December, I started working with a business coach who had worked in different sizes of law firms, all the way from, in-house big law to small firm to medium firm. And then she was building her own very boutique law firm. And then she was also coaching. And so it wasn't even just like inspiration. It was like, I want you to tell me how to do this so I don't make mistakes.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right? Like I want you to like I'm going to hire you to help me build because a financial planning practice and a law practice very similar, like service, high-end service firm. Um there's just a lot of crossover. And so that was my intention was that I would hire a coach so that she could help me not make the mistakes of most first time, you know, big firm owners, right? And I think that's so funny. It's like I have so much love and gratitude for the version of me that did that.
Yeah.
And I learned literally, I worked with her for 2 years. It was amazing. There was I learned so much, and most of it was not what I thought I was supposed to learn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There was
totally.
so much more that I learned through that process with Jen. That was so much more important than the strategy, which I did like. There was strategy. I literally replaced my income within a year. Um, and so like there were pieces that worked, but there was also still so much trial and error.
Yep.
There was still so much um like having to be learn other things, take inspiration, figure it out,
Mhm.
try other things. She for example recommended David Nagel is a mindset coach. This pretty well known. He has a program called, what is it called? Compassionate conversion. And that's a sales, like how do you conversion sales. Um, and so like that was the first, she's like, this seems like it's at least something to start, like a framework to start from, because I came out of like true financial sales, like
Yeah.
sales training, financial sales, which was awful and I hated it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I knew I didn't want that. I knew that that was not the path I wanted to take, but I didn't have a concept, to your point. I didn't have a concept of how do I do this better.
Yeah.
And so compassionate conversion came, I learned it, I practiced it, and it was still just an iteration,
Yes.
right? There was still more to do after that, but it was again a place to start, a
Yes.
place to feel into like what works for me, what does not work for me.
Yeah.
And it takes, I think we all, have that desire to not make the mistake,
Yes.
right? To skip that part. We all want to skip that part.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to look dumb. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. Or like spend money on something that doesn't work, or, whatever that is in your business. We all have that, like that tendency, being human.
Yeah.
I want to get it right the first time. I want to have every dollar I spend come back with like perfect ROI, right? Like, and
Yep.
that's just not the reality.
Yeah.
And it's more about, this is where we want to go next. I think there's still more we could talk about on the money front, but I think like there's something that's like more important
Yeah,
over,
yeah, yeah. She's going to get in there.
right? It's the how do you integrate, how do you self-reflect and integrate the lessons? And when do you start to reevaluate? Like those are, I think, the lessons that we actually need to know, right? It's like when do you start to notice you're forcing something?
Yeah.
When do you decide like, hey, something isn't quite working? And then how do you self-reflect on that so that you can take the lesson and do, like shift, pivot into the more aligned step? What does that look like for you? How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. For me, it starts with a foundational principle that I refuse to force anything. So I had a conversation with someone. It was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. We were both leadership in a company, and we were in this discussion. And I said, "Yeah, I don't do anything I don't want to do." And this guy goes, "What? Are you kidding me?" I was like, "No." And I was like, "Oh, how could you even be a leader then?" I was like, "I don't do things I don't want to do." And then he's like, "Well, I do things all the time I don't want to do." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's how you decide to do it. I'm not going to do it that way. If I'm gonna find the person who is the zone of genius outside of me, because if I don't want to do it, then I'm probably not meant to do it." So to me, there's a foundational principle in my own life, and it doesn't mean I don't push through things that are uncomfortable. I believe that things I don't want to do versus things that make me uncomfortable to the point of avoidance, these are two separate things.
Good point. Yes.
But things I don't want to do, if I don't feel authentically pulled, if the energy doesn't come effortlessly, if I have to force hyping myself up for something, if I have to like, get myself in the zone, but I'm forcing myself to get in the zone rather than the zone naturally coming to me and fueling me from somewhere other than myself, these are all strong principles that I've realized, yeah, I'm done living life trying to force anything, push anything, make something happen outside of that. So it starts from that foundation. And from that foundation, I'm constantly evaluating my body's physical state. So the first thing when my eyes wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm evaluating is what is the state of my body right now in this moment. And if the state of my body is anything but on fire, then I'm like, okay, not that I have to be on fire all the time, but what is preventing me in this moment from being there? And beginning to do an evaluative process. And usually the first thing in the morning that I feel is anxiety. And it's whether it's because of the lack of water in my system, and so the system is trying to motivate me to want to go get some water. I'm always constantly asking, how do I get my state in a place where it needs to be? So the first part is the standard. The second part is then understanding constantly a focus on what is my current emotional state. And then it drives into the third part. If I'm wanting to get myself into an emotional state that is clear, connected, passionate, if that's the emotional state, that's the standard. And I'm constantly asking myself, what is getting in between me and being in that state? And I'm developing practices to get me there. When I am doing all the practices that I can to get me into the desired state that I want to be in, and I'm still not getting there, then it's feedback for me that there might be something off with my life, whether it's the way I've set up my business, whether it's the way I've set up something personally, things I'm tolerating, things that need to shift, move, etc., that needs to be adjusted. Because if I, for my own, because what I've found is that my body, if I don't tend to my body and I don't understand my body and know how to wire it to be at its best, it can lie to me a lot. It can give
Mm.
me a lot of mixed signals of like, say like, Alan, no, you don't want to do this, when in reality, it's not that I don't want to do something, it's that I'm dysregulated right now, and it has nothing to do with this current situation. It's actually a past trauma that's coming up right now, manifesting in my body that I need to deal with so that I can be ready to do the thing in front of me because they're two unrelated things, my past and this present moment. Like, but if I don't have that awareness, I might just look at the present moment and say, oh no, I don't want to do this. So to me, it's always evaluating first, again, what state do I want to be in? Do everything I can to get there. And if I can't get there, then begin to do an additional inquiry on my world. And be
Mm.
like, is it my job? Is it the amount of time? Did I spend too much screen time today? Am I looking at my phone too much? And begin to make adjustments from that place. Is that answer the question? Is that, or does that begin to answer the question?
It definitely takes us like further down the track. And um, as you were talking, like I was remembering, different times when, so for me, and bring human design into the conversation just a little bit. I'm a sacral manifesting generator. And so the sacral authority is a very strong gut response.
Mm,
Either a hell yes, lean in, or a hell no, lean out. Like it's very clear. Or if you're like flatline, you're like, that's a no. Anything that's not a like your body is already like someone's asking you to do something, and you're like, how do I already do this? Right? Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's your yes.
Yeah.
And as you were talking, um, I have also had the experience of uh if if I have to pee, like I need to like take care of my body before I can make a decision. If I'm overly hungry,
Yep.
right? If I haven't eaten and it's like 2 p.m. Um, usually I eat something in the morning, but then if I haven't eaten for like an extended period of time,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh, I can't make this. I need to go eat something. I need to take care of my body, my physical body,
Yes.
in order to be able to
Yes.
hear, feel my actual yes or no.
Yes.
I, it's so fundamental,
Hmm.
and yet again, as entrepreneurs, as people who are, tending to try to do a lot of things and do more, be more, do all the stuff. Um, where, for a lot of times, it takes us especially at the beginning, we're wearing the badge of honor of being busy all the time, right? I'm
Yep.
just so stacked. I'm so busy.
Yep.
When we ignore our physical body, that's really like when you can't hear. It's hard. It's really hard to tap into what's your true yes,
Yes.
what's your true no
Mhm.
when you're not in. a regulated state. So I love the way that you described that. Um, if I'm overly tired, same
Mhm.
thing, right? If I've been
Yeah.
going all day, I c-
Yep.
I can't hear it.
Exactly.
I'm like, I need to sleep.
Yeah.
That's what I need right now. So and I also really like how you described like what's the optimal state that you desire to be in. And what
Yep.
did you say? Clear, connected,
Passionate.
and passionate.
Yeah.
I love that. And I can totally see like having tapping into like what's the state that you want, like your
Yeah.
individual state that you want to be in. Some people are more fiery,
Yeah.
right? Or have that like passionate side. Some people are more calm and flowy. Some people are more inquisitive, right? So what's the state that you want to be in? I think mine would be present, present and connected, um, curious,
Mm.
and playful is the word that's coming up.
Let's go.
Those are the one like right if I'm in that space,
Yep.
like that's like where I'm most interested, most magnetic.
Yep.
Um, and I learn the most as well, right? So I'm serving, but I'm also like I'm taking things in. I'm present. I'm like,
Yep.
being um yeah, just being in the moment. So I love that framework of like what state do you want to be in and what's keeping you present like in the moment like right this second. Do you need some water? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Do you need to, take a little walk outside? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's a constant evaluation because I noticed there was a time a while back. I remember I was hanging with my fiance. It was I think it was one of like the second or third time we had hung out, and we were at this Airbnb in California. And I remember I was spending time with her, and out of nowhere, all of my thoughts, the meanings I was creating about everything, whether it was the words that she was saying or the things happening around us, all the meaning that I was creating from the world around me was that it was all like anxiety driven. And so like she would say something, I was like, oh, that means she's going to betray me later on, or this car is coming at me. Oh, that means I'm in danger because we're on a busy road. And so at first I was beginning to evaluate and look at all these things and think that all those meanings were true. I was like, oh, and it was weird because up until this point, I was like, this woman's amazing. She's incredible. Why all of a sudden out of nowhere am I seeing these things and having all these meanings? Is it because I'm being revealed the truth about who this person is? And then after I got enough of these very intense, again, meanings from her, created by my mind, but like in her behavior, and I'm like, oh, this means she's this, it means she's that, and they were all anxiety driven. I was like, wait, hang on a second, there's a theme here. Hang on. Everything, all the meanings I'm creating right now, everything, every thought my mind is making right now is anxiety driven. Hang on, how's my body feeling? And I like checked with my body, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that. I'm gonna keep away the swears here. I was like, oh snap. I was like, I'm anxious as hell. I was like, my heart rate's super, super high. My body does not feel good. We were walking down the street, and I looked at her, and I was like, hey, can we go back home, please? Something's not right. My body's not doing right. And we went home, and sure enough, just like created some safe space. And while that happened, my body calmed down, all of a sudden went right back to normal. But it was one of these moments where I was like, wow, the mind creates meaning based on the state we're in.
Yeah.
So if I want to have meaning that is passionate, connected, clear, then I need to be in a state that is like that so I can derive that meaning constantly. And then with all of that meaning, meaning is where emotion comes from. With all of that really positive meaning that I'm generating from a really positive state, I then have very positive emotions, which then reinforce that whole system back into my nervous system, wiring me for more passion, more clarity, more connectivity. So to me, it's a moment by moment thing. Like before you and I were hopping on, I was just evaluating, okay, if I'm going to be on a podcast, I'm going to be communicating and connecting with Hannah this entire time. What is my body feeling like? And but before I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom a little bit. I'm gonna go pee, come back in, feel better. Okay, I need some water because I need to be hydrated because I can tell my body's starting to get a little shrunk from like I can just feel not feeling as hydrated. I'm like, great, let's get some water. And I was like, how's my stomach feeling? No, we're good. I should be good. I've loaded up on some fats. The fats will burn slowly, so I'll be able to be focused the entire time. No carbs in the system, no peaks, no spikes. We'll be here, we'll be good to go. And then evaluated the emotions. Great, dropped in right before you and I started. There was a quick grounding of closing eyes, setting intention, good to go. And it's like that allows me to be now here with you fully. So to me, this is me kind of reopening this up that a consistent focus on state to me is everything. Because if the state's right, everything else in life falls in place. If the state's not being attended to, if we're pretending like we don't have control over that, then we start to get victim. Oh, I'm really anxious today. Okay, well, have you evaluated what works really well for your body to not be anxious? Have you gotten outside? Have you drank water yet? Have you gone through a routine that helps you to be calm? Have you meditated? Does meditating work for you? Does it not work for you? Have you tried fasting? Is fasting something that's effective for you in the day between now and 1 p.m.? Like, what's your best eating schedule? So it's like for me, there's this really consistent focus on the state because I find that when the state's good, I'm good. If it's not, I'm backwards.
Mm. The word self-care just like popped in for me too as you were talking about that um in a much more tangible way of like it's not about it can't again it can be about going and getting a facial or getting a massage or making sure you exercise 3 or 4 times a week, whatever works for you, right? Those things can all be self-care, taking a bubble bath, right? But I think more tangibly it does this is what it means is tapping into what are you actually experiencing in this moment,
Yes.
because if you are anxious and overwhelmed and overloaded and you're like, okay, but I have a massage on the calendar in 3 weeks, what
Yeah.
what is that going to do?
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're just going to be so stressed out for 3 weeks and then you're supposed to like release it all in that 90-minute massage, like no.
And then not go to the next massage for another 4 months, right?
Right, that's not self-care, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's these momentary and moment by moment check-ins of how am I doing?
Yes.
Um, and choosing, like you said, choosing to shift, choosing
Yep.
to choosing to find a way to shift. It reminded me actually of again with that first business coach. Um, I had never really grounded myself in a practice of meditation or examining how I was feeling.
Mm.
I'd never had anyone model that for me before.
Hmm.
And one thing that I did, so I worked at home. My husband also worked at home. And he still does. So we're both, we have our space and whatnot. And if I started feeling anxious, which again, brand new business, um, plenty
Yep.
of opportunity,
Yep.
anxious all the time.
Yep.
I would I would pause and I would say, I need to go meditate.
Nice.
And I'd go upstairs to my bedroom and, just like just lay down, turn on. For me, it really helps to have like either music or a guided meditation of some sort because my mind will tend to like just really go. So it's like, okay, that brings me in, gives me something to focus on. But I would do that and I would do that over and over throughout the day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just like take these little like, and I would feel it. It was when I would start to feel dysregulated and I would go and do that. And one time my husband was like, how do you know? How do you know when you need to do that?
Yeah.
And I mean, I was literally learning through that
Yes.
process, but it was like, I just like when I'm feeling like not okay, that's basically the clue to like, okay, hey, go break the cycle.
Yeah.
And that practice, like I did that for pretty much an entire year. Um, and that check in, that being able to check in with myself and see how I'm feeling and see what I need. It's really interesting to recall back to. Now it feels so natural. But back then, 4 years ago, it was an intentional practice. I was like on it. I was really thinking about it, really committed to shifting how I was feeling.
Yes.
And it took like action, like intentional action
Yes.
to get to where I feel now, which is like, yeah, I mean, it's like, again, I mean, I'll have moments where I'm a little out of whack. I'm like, oh, yep, I need to go eat something. Oh, I need, like just a calm day, right? Like, but I know how to regulate that so much better
Yes.
just as a baseline.
Yeah, that's super good. There's a couple of good questions to ask. So if someone's in a situation where they're unsure of what their state is, what their optimal state is, or how to check in with what the state is they would like it to be. For me, what there was a few questions I would ask myself before I had state awareness that allowed me to begin to cultivate state awareness. So for me, it all piggybacked off of the kind of primary human tendency that we tend to want to do more for others than we want to do for ourselves, or we tended to want to show up for others more than we want to ourselves initially, until we realize, oh, wait, if I show up for myself, then I actually am able to show up for others more. But initially, we have this desire, we have an innate desire, all of us, to want to do more for others than for ourselves initially. And so, what I began to ask myself the question was, well, who do I love more than I love my own bullshit? And it started there. And so then there were three people that come to mind. I love my fiance more than I love my own BS. If it's between my BS and my fiance, then my fiance wins, BS goes away. Second one was future children. So I don't have kids yet, but very much desire to, and very much desire to be able to be a good father to them when they come. And then the third was my clients. So it was like, okay, so if I know these are people that I love more than my own BS, then let me begin to ask a series of questions that connects me to these people. So with clients, could I, in the state I'm currently in, serve my clients at the highest level right now? Yes or no? And if the answer was yes, then it was an optimal state. If the answer was no, then it was like, ooh, okay, why not? What's going on? What does my body need? Other question with fiance. Could I, in this moment, hold unlimited space for the woman that I love most in the world? Unlimited space. And if the answer was yes, I was like, all right, good state. If the answer was no, then I was like, all right, what's going on? What do I need to do? What's my body need? Or last question for me was, could I in this moment be the example that I wish to set for my children, knowing that children evaluate me not based off of what I tell them to do, but based off the example I set. Could I set the example I would want to set for my children right now in an unlimited reservoir of ability? And if the answer was yes, optimal state. If the answer was no, got to figure out what's going on there. So to me, it was the backdoor route that I took, because state awareness can be something that's really challenging to cultivate. But I found that a way to hack the human psychology around it is asking yourself if you could show up to those you love at the highest level in this moment right now. And then if the answer is anything less than yes, like a full on yes, then it's like, great, how do I check in with myself to get myself to the right place?
Hmm. How do I, how do I give myself what I need?
Yes.
Was one of the things that yes, I was practicing. I was like, what do I need in this moment? How do I give that to myself?
Hmm.
And
100.
source that from inside.
Yes.
And to kind of tie that back to what we were talking about before, that's a skill that you have to learn and you have to
100.
practice. And once you start to do that, then you do get to start to like shift into, okay, what are the ways that I do this? What are the ways that I connect with clients most easily? What are the ways that I build my business in the way that is like easy and aligned and fun and playful, or whatever your optimal state is? And again, it takes practice to get there. It's we do have to go through that state of mimic. We all do. I mean, it's just natural. We all have to mimic before we can take it in and then source it from within. And so there is a, some like in the coaching space, especially, right? Like this, all the answers are inside. You know everything you need to do, right? Like very like, and while that's beautiful, and I feel like the intention behind it is probably good, that's not, it's just not the case at all stages of business,
Yes.
right? There is a time for, I see someone else do it, I do it, I iterate. I see you try and I iterate and I iterate and I iterate. Um, and so just knowing kind of what stage you're at and where you are is so important. And I wanted to go there so that we could get to what are you actually passionate about? So this pivot that you had where we started the conversation of like, hey, I'm forcing that and it's not working and I'm not feeling like I'm in my optimal state. You already had this lane,
Yes.
right? Where you did feel and you do feel optimal and where things work and where again, like people are asking for more.
Yeah.
Um, and it is sort of in this niche of people building a new business, people starting out. And the other thing I want to say before I kick it back over to you is you've said it many times through this conversation of what works for you, right? So it's not you're taking a framework, you're creating a structure
Yeah.
for someone to try on,
Yeah.
but then also saying, okay, well, what does work for you?
Yes.
This type or this piece or that, like let's try on the different, because it's not like here's the structure, here's the system, if you don't work within this, you're a failure,
Yeah.
right? So I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that, about what is working, what is amazing, and what letting go of this other piece that was feeling forced is allowing you to deepen even more into now.
Yeah, it's a great question. So for me, the big thing I'm passionate about, what is working. So the thing that I noticed is I was waiting for in my world, I was waiting for the framework. I was waiting for the recipe for authentic human compulsion. To me, it's not it's I don't it doesn't matter to me who it was coming to, but I knew that there was a way for human beings to be driven in every circumstance all the time. And it was, for me, it was more about where do I find that? To whom can I give that to? Or to where will it be manifested in? And I was working with one of my clients on the business side of things, and that frame came through as it normally does. Like, I'm here and talking and doing my thing, and then I'll just say it differently this one time. And I'm like, oh wait, that's incredible. Where'd that come from? And I was waiting for that and searching for that. And so when it came through inside of that business thing, there's a quote that I've been saying for such a long time, and it's not even a quote really. It's more just a philosophy of mine that I'm passionate about helping people live a life that's in alignment with who they are, why they're here, how they're meant to bring it to the world. And anything that I can do to help them identify those three things and as most authentically as they possibly can, to me, that's everything. And so, what I found in that business world and helping people start those businesses that were in the image of who they are, why they're here, how they're meant to bring it to the world, it consistently put them up against challenges and put them up against roadblocks. And I wanted to find this thing, a tool, a framework, or whatever that would help them get through all those challenges. Because I'm like, I want you to get through those challenges so you can be you at the highest level of whatever you is, in the highest expression, not just in concept, but in actuality. And so what I applied was that little framework that I have. And I just started to notice that it was impacting people in a really positive way. They weren't coming to me for advice or for answers as much as they were coming to me for assistance with expression or guidance gently. They were beginning to attune to their own internal compass more than they were seeking some guru, coach, or whatever to tell them what to do next. And that to me is what I get really excited about when I can see someone begin to become their most powerful consultant within themselves. And so that frame is what has worked best for them, but frankly, it's what has worked best for me because these five elements, and I'll share them here with you and the listeners because I found them to be the most effective things in my life. That when these five things are clear for each person, it just allows life to be meaningful, purpose-driven, but then also compulsive to move forward because we have a North Star to hang on to. So I would love to shed if you're open to hearing. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Anything you're willing to share. And I love you said this before we started recording too. It's like just give it away, right? Just
Absolutely.
give. And when
Yeah.
people want help with the application or the integration, right? That's where
Yeah.
that's where the service is.
Totally, totally, 100%. Yeah, yeah. Because I share this with you too beforehand. I don't agree with the whole trademarking, intellectual propertizing that which is given to us by universe, God, source. Anyway, it's like I didn't come up with this; it was given to me, and I've had the privilege of being able to use it and carry it. So more than happy to go into it. So there are five elements that I found when each of these elements are defined clearly individually. They work wonderfully well as individual pieces, but it's the clear defining lines between all five of them that allow for a human being to be compelled in any situation. These terms you've heard before, they're not going to blow your mind with newness. It's not a novelty thing. What I hope is new in this is bringing all five of these terms together in the same place, but then clearly defining what makes them separate. As an example, like I've heard someone in a lot of spaces, I've heard people ask, "What's your purpose?" And then that person then says, "Well," and then they end up saying a mission statement. Well, purpose and mission statement, these are two very different things. They're in completely different understandings. Or if someone will say, "What's your vision in life?" And then that person will define the term vision based off of the criteria of someone's mission. And it's like, nope, these are two different things. And so these are all very different and they have very specific recipes to them that I've found. And so these are definitions that to me, when I was trying to create what is actually different between these things so that I can understand it, here's how I understood these terms from a definition standpoint that made them the easiest to discern between them. So the first point on the star is vision. And how I define vision is the ultimate expression of our gifts and skills being used at the highest possible level without boundaries, constraints, or timelines. It's this big, open, big, beautiful thing of like if you could completely let go of any holding back of any kind and just let it wild. Like, what is the most epic version of you doing you? What is it? And then allow energy and allow visions and elements to come in that fashion. And when we allow our mind to enter into that space, what ends up happening is we begin to come up with images or words or thoughts or whatever that connect us to that thing. And the truth is, none of the images that come to the mind actually matter. It's not about the images. And that's one of the things with vision is when people start to say, "What is your vision?" Write it down as specifically as you can. It actually, when you try to get too specific with vision, it can actually taint the idea of no constraints. The whole thing with generating from vision is that there are no constraints, no timelines, no anything. It's just like boom, big and open. Any images that come into our mind in that energy, those images are being generated by the visual cortex to make sense of you connecting to your essence. So
Mm.
ultimately, when you're connecting to your vision, it's less about what the vision actually is, and it's more about how do you feel when connecting to it, and can you be in that feeling everywhere you go? Can you carry that essence everywhere you go. And so that's to me what I've noticed is the purpose of generating vision, not to have a goal to set with timelines and all these things. That's the next one. It's more to get in touch with what is the authentic, resonant, vibrational essence that you are, so you can bring it everywhere you go at the highest level. So that to me is number one is vision. The one after that is mission. Mission is more directional. It's the first part that begins to have some constraints. It's the change that we want to make in the world in the next 5 to 10 years. And so, and a mission statement is crafted by looking at these three elements as best as we can. The first is anger. We talked about anger last time and being able to evaluate what we're most angry about versus being angry about 10 things and not taking any action, but finding what's the thing I'm most angry about. So the thing we're most angry about, then combined with the source point of change for that thing. So find something that really makes us angry. What is the source point of change? And then the third ingredient is how are we uniquely equipped and gifted to be able to impact that source point? So we take those three elements, what makes us angry, what's the source point of change of that thing, and how am I uniquely equipped? We can then devise a mission statement, which is a very short sentence that says, this is what I want to accomplish in a mission in the next 5 to 10 years. So for myself, the mission statement is to transform the coaching industry by up leveling the standard of service and helping the industry reset its value proposition. So currently, I believe there's a lot of teaching in the coaching industry, I was a product of this, by the way, so I'm guilty of this behavior, where the focus is more on money than on service. And I believe that how that changes is that there are people who lead the way with providing extraordinary service for prices that are make no freaking sense. It's like, okay, like there's a mastermind over here that's saying it's 50 grand and it's giving me this, but I can get that same thing from this mastermind for two. There's something happening here when it comes to the energy change and how value is being shifted. So to me, vision, mission is number two. It gives us direction, gives us focus. Third element after mission is our personal quest. So this is the one where the energy changes a bit. So vision and mission, these two things are way up here, way out here, and they're all fun to play in. Most visionaries are very good at accessing vision, very good at accessing mission because they're away from them.
Mhm.
The personal quest changes. The personal quest becomes more about what are we getting out of this? What is this all about for me? So with our visions and missions, most of the time, our visions and missions are photo negatives of the hurts, traumas, pains, limiting beliefs that we currently have, that our brain says, in the pursuit of this thing that I'm placing in my mind, in pursuit of this mission, in pursuit of this vision, if it is authentic, will allow me to heal from XYZ things because I will become the person who grows through them. So this idea that we don't get that we have to sacrifice ourselves for our mission, sacrifice ourselves for our visions, it's not real. It's not accurate. The truth is that if we pursue our visions and our missions at the highest level, we will get something out of it. And
Mhm.
so to me, the question becomes, what is this about? The two questions to ask for personal quest. One is, what is this all really about for you? Why are you doing this? Like, what is the reason this is all happening? So for myself, for a while, it's changed recently for myself, but for a while, there was a strong belief that God had completely rejected me, that there was something wrong with me, that I was a dud. And, we can use whatever language you want here, God, universe, source, all infinite intelligence, whatever we want to call it. But I believed that that thing did not care about me and believed that I was a dud and did not need to be on planet Earth, that it had left me behind. And so a big part of the personal quest that I had for a while was I was like, I refuse that that's going to be how I feel about life. And
Mhm.
so the reason I was going after building a business in the way that I was building it was because I wanted to prove to myself through action and through demonstration, no, I'm going to act as though God exists. I'm going to ask as though that thing, or I'm going to act as though that thing loves me so that it does continue to show up and I show myself, nope, I'm worthy of being loved by God. That's okay. So that to me was the personal quest, very personal, very intimate. When someone doesn't have the personal quest clear, when they don't know why they are doing this specifically for themselves, they're really good at the macro, but they're not so good at the micro.
Mm.
So when I
Yeah.
see someone who's crushing all the big stuff, but they themselves are not taking care of themselves. I'm like, okay, you have not yet connected how this is for you also.
Hmm.
So personal quest gets really personal. Next piece on this one is universal purpose. So universal purpose, the way I described this one is that us and the universe, God, source, again, whatever we want to call that force, have been in co-creation our entire lives to shape ourselves as a tool for something of its purpose. And so universal purpose, I mean, what is the universe's purpose for me? So if I were to be dropped in the middle of 50 people, why would I be dropped there? Why would I be placed there? What is usually the thing that I'm doing when I'm placed in an environment to impact others? Am I helping them clarify things? Am I helping motivate them? Am I helping them feel emotions? Like, what is it that I'm typically meant to do in those situations? Because some of us are screwdrivers, some of us are hammers, some of us are saws, and some of us are multi-tools. So it's important to know this because if the world says, "Hey, there's a screw that needs to come in, that needs to be screwed in," we can raise our hand and say, "Oh, that's perfect. I'm a screwdriver." So universal purpose is something that most of us, it requires feedback from others to identify. From myself, what I've learned is that what I'm very good at is clarifying, energizing, catalyzing. Anywhere that I go, I'm typically doing those three things. I'm helping the room get clear, I'm helping them get energized, and then I'm helping them make decisions.
Mm.
So, in a context, if I'm going to show up to someone's in-person event and they say, "Alan, where can we place you that would be most effective for our agenda?" I would say, well, I clarify, energize, and catalyze, which means I get people ready to make big decisions. So if you would like to place me somewhere strategically in your event, put me right before your pitch. You'll probably get a 10% lift in your sales, like genuinely. But again, I know that's what my universal purpose is. And so I understand how to place myself on the chessboard, if that makes sense. The very last one here then is our a lot of different coaches, people, they have different words for this. Tony Robbins would call this leverage. Simon Sinek would call this why. I personally call it why, but it's knowing what our why is. And the why, I have found the purpose of this final component is to keep the floor rising. It's it comes up and comes out in the moments when we cannot take another step. Our body is exhausted, our heart is done. We are telling ourselves loudly, "I have nothing left. I can't take another step." This thing comes up that allows us to take one more step.
Hmm.
And that I've found is one of the most potent ingredients that if someone finds it, it can completely change everything in their life. And the breadcrumbs to the why I have found with people is searching for the pain that they experienced that they have deemed unacceptable to pass on to those around them, and then finding the person or people that they have deemed it the most unacceptable to pass those things down to. Usually, not always, but usually. And when we identify who those people are or what it is we don't want to pass on, we become clear, much more clear, I'll say, on our why. That when we're ready to give up and we begin to envision that person or those people potentially being negatively impacted by our giving up, we make it's unacceptable to give up at that point. So those are those five ingredients that I work on with people. And the bonus number six is I then ask everybody, who is everyone that is currently counting on you to become the best version of yourself?
Mm.
Every person in your life that is currently alive in this moment that is counting on you to become the super you. And then we fill in the star with all those names. So those are the five elements that I love to work with people on. I love to help them get crystal clear on them because I've found again that when they're clear, they don't need me anymore. They don't need me. It's like I'm just someone to help them guide in the process and to help them emotionally go through things, and that's fine. Or provide community. But if they have those five ingredients, I'm not someone's guru at that point. I'm just someone trying to help them on their journey.
So let's go run through them one more time. So there was vision,
Yep.
mission,
Yep.
Was
Personal quest.
personal quest, universal
Purpose.
purpose,
Why?
and your why. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That I definitely was having different things like just flash as you were talking of how not just how what's coming up now, but kind of like how things have evolved. Like you were, kind of the story you were telling about your personal quest of, things change over time. And yeah, I know I've gone through some metamorphosis myself over the last 4 years, very a lot of metamorphosis over the last 4 years, but even over the last 10 years, the last 15 years, the last 20 years, right? Like, yeah, it's really beautiful to reflect, pause, give yourself that moment of like just seeing how far you've come,
Yeah.
like really, truly. So I love that. And Alan, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and open. True, like we don't tell these stories very often of when things didn't work. And um, I think this was just a really uh, just important conversation to
Yeah.
have. So thank you so much for being here. And how can people learn more about you? Where can they find you? And what do you have coming up next?
Yeah. They can always go to my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram is my last name. It's at Muellegger, Muellegger on Instagram. That's where all the content goes. And I respond to messages there all the time. So if people, unless I've been getting a lot of a lot of cold DMs from, from other people, so I've been trying to filter those out. But if people are saying, I had someone the other day, I was on a podcast and they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, your share really helped," and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you thought of me." So I'm always responsive to those types of things. You can look for those things there and things in the future. Right now, this might not. I think the big things I'm working on in this moment are one, in-person experiences that are designed to help people really get connected to their North Stars, to find with crystal clarity what that is for them. The next one I'm doing is July 25th, 26th, 27th of 2025. There's not one planned after that. So there's going to be one that I intend to run that event consistently. But that's kind of thing number one. And then thing number two is I'll consistently run these online workshops that I call the online business clarifiers. So in the trial and error journey, which I know you're very familiar with as well, I just noticed that there were six areas that were essential to be clear in when running an online business. And so I do a 2.5 hour virtual workshop where I take people through those six areas, get them as clear as they can be with the time we have, as just a way to serve people. It's totally free. There's no obligations or funneling or anything like that. And those happen, I want to say once a month. Yeah, once every month is when those things happen. So I don't have a date for the next one yet, but those are things you can look out for from me that I consistently provide as value.
It's so beautiful. And Alan, again, it was so great to have you back. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And I can't wait to hear how things go, how things evolve when, yeah, just the beauty that is evolving right now with you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening and be sure to like and subscribe. And again, if anything resonated with you from this episode, I would love to hear from you. Email me at Hannah, HANNAH, at expansiveceo.com and tell me about it. And if you're ready for your greatest expansion, you can find ways to work with me at expansiveceo.com and at x2wealthplanning.com. That's X, the numeral 2, wealthplanning.com. So until next time, remember that there is enough. You are enough. And your birthright in this lifetime is to be expansive.